It is 7:30 in the morning. I will call this meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We are here to take care of some really serious flood-related business. Brent, why don't you?
Yeah, I think what we'll do is we've asked Aaron Schmidt, the assistant city engineer, just to kind of give an overview, and then we can kind of keep it pretty informal with council questions, or if people in the audience have questions.
Yep.
And then we have our kind of entire team here, so we can get at anything that you're curious about. So with that, Aaron.
All right. Good morning, Mayor and Council. So we put together some quick presentation here just to highlight the current flooding situation. Starting off here with a kind of a fun photograph, just kind of comparing where things were. We had a photograph taken a month ago while we were doing some things out here, and the other photograph was from yesterday. So why is these subtitles?
So why is there subtitles? Isn't the subtitles?
I don't know why that's going, but hopefully that doesn't make everybody too.
You might just want to escape and then start over.
Let's see. Escape. End slideshow. There. Thank you for trying subtitles.
Helpful feature you didn't.
All right. There we go. So, June 24th, 2024, which was yesterday, you can see the river and the basin is very full. The road going into Riverside Park is pretty much non-existent at this point, so things are definitely filling up as we prepare for a projected crest on Thursday, which is currently projected at right at the 100-year flood elevation. So things are going to be very full for the next several days, and we have a good plan in place, and it's really about executing that plan at this point and reacting as needed. But we think we have a good plan, and we just wanted to kind of go through that here this morning, just kind of highlight some of the things that we're working on here the past few days, and then what we have to do before that crest happens. So this is the current forecast as of last night at 3:45 p.m. NOAA hasn't updated their forecast yet this morning from what I saw, but Todd mentioned that he looked at the USGS, and we're currently at 32.39, which is basically right on the forecasted line. So we're trending basically right on the purple at this point. As I mentioned, historic crest, so 35.07 was the historic 1965 flood. The 34.84 is the 100-year flood elevation, so currently they're projected at 34.80, so basically right on that 100-year flood. Second biggest crest was in 1993, which I'm sure many of you remember, and that was at a 33.52. So we're definitely looking to be north of that 93 flood, somewhere between there and the 65 flood. Hopefully is where we're going to be ending up this week. So items that were completed. Brent had compiled a flood response team, which consisted of Brent, obviously, Paul and Eric from Public Services, Tim and Callie, and myself. So sorry for drawing a blank on that, Callie. But we've been working pretty hard here for about a week. We got assembled, and we've been checking in on a daily basis, sometimes many more times than that. And some of the near-term things that had been done recently, obviously the park is closed. Temporary levee, so Paul had completed some of that work with Public Services staff. He's also utilized a local contractor, William Mueller & Sons. They've done some work for us to date. We had a local detour in place along 4th Street in Jorgensen, just to kind of redirect into this area of town. And then we've set up the bigger detour as of this morning. So that will take people down 4th Street to Jonathan Carver Parkway, basically just totally avoiding the downtown area at this point, just due to the flooding that is anticipated in those streets that we know of. So near-term plans, a lot of things are going to be coming together today. I have Tuesday noted, so it's going to be a full day here today. The levee trail is closed right now. Safety Signs has set that up this morning early, so you'll see signage noting that the trail is closed completely. We are going to be doing a hard closure of Main Street West, just west of downtown here. We're expecting that road to overtop probably midday today. So that's where that major detour will be important, because you will not be able to get out of town going that way or come into town. So that will redirect people in that area.
Aaron, can we talk about that for a second? Can I
Sure.
interrupt? So, is that in an area where there are houses adjacent to where we're anticipating flooding? Where my head is at is access to driveways and access to those individual houses. They're up a little bit, so I think they'll be fine, but just getting in and out of there.
Sure. I don't believe that there's a direct driveway that's in that spot. It's
Okay.
Kind of off to the side. Paul, if you have anything to add to that.
They'll have access.
Okay,
It'll just
so
be
it's not
one
the
way or the
area.
other. They just won't. It'll be hard barricaded, so there'll be type 3 barricades across the whole road.
Tell me
Kind
what
of
type 3 is,
those,
Jersey barrier, the
those-
concrete?
The yellow or the white and orange, with the 3 large aluminum panels.
Okay,
It'll be 3 on each side of
Okay.
the road. So basically, it'll be barriers where the water is, and then barriers. So you'll either have to, if residents are on that side, they'll have to come in from Jonathan Carver Parkway. If they're on this side, they'll have to come in from downtown to get to their houses.
okay.
It will be delicate because it comes up. I mean, I would say the whole south lane could be underwater. So, we would certainly don't want people driving there if they don't need to. That's why we're closing it. But at this point, we're leaving it into the hands of each property owner. Should they, if they decide to evacuate themselves. The sheriff's office has been pretty strong in a recommendation not to drive through standing water. So I would say driveways will be accessible based on what we know now, but we don't have the resources to monitor that. And so we're asking property owners and residents that live in that area to make a call, at least at this point.
Okay, and then communicating that, have we done anything more personal than social media? I'm just thinking this, I wonder if we don't need to, not door knock, but drop off something at the resident homes that are impacted, and then maybe something on the doors of the apartment building there. I'm not too worried about the Bluffs, because they've got another entry, and
Well,
it's a lot of homes.
Well, I think anything that would be west of Carver Bluffs Parkway, we're not concerned with that area. It would be closer to the downtown, is that correct?
Yeah, so we'll have a type 3 barricade just east of the Carver Bluffs Parkway intersection, saying that, road closed,
Yep.
no access to downtown.
Okay,
So I think it says local access only.
okay,
So you'll be able to go down to Carver Bluffs Parkway, and then there's going to basically be a type 3 right in the lane saying you can't go here.
okay.
We'll come up with some type of flyer that we can
Okay,
take
I was gonna say, I know we're getting stretched thin, so this is probably a lower priority request, but between the edge of downtown and Carver Bluffs Parkway, there's no more than 20 homes, probably a dozen homes, and that might be nice if we can just make sure that they're aware.
Okay. Next item, this is really the major item for today as I see it. Yesterday we made a decision that we want to increase the height of the levee in a couple areas that are currently a little bit lower than others. So the main levee along the river is generally high enough as we see it right now. The old railroad grade, basically from Riverside Park up to Depot Park, that is a little bit lower than the rest of the main levee. So we feel it's really in the best interest for safety right now to provide a little extra freeboard in that area. So what what we've decided at this point is we'd like to obtain at least 2 feet of freeboard above the 100-year flood elevation, which is an elevation of 725.5. That stretch of the railroad grade does not meet that right now. It's anywhere from half a foot to a foot lower than that. So Public Services has Mueller and Sons on board today to start at 9 o'clock to add that additional fill to give us that freeboard on that side of the levee system. So then the entire river levee will have that 2 feet of freeboard established. And then along the Spring Creek levee, there are some areas that don't meet that right now as well. Specifically at both the Main and 3rd Street bridge crossings. So we're going to make sure those are elevated to that freeboard height. And then one piece of the levee adjacent to Jeremy Gestock's house, which is from 3rd Street to Main Street, his berm in that area is a little bit low too. So we already started adding fill on that yesterday afternoon. So we're going to make sure basically that the whole system is going to be at that 2 foot of freeboard elevation by the end of the day today. That's really the primary goal and objective for today, just to make sure we have that factor of safety built in to the levee system. That's weird, that didn't change. So monitoring the levee system. So Carver Fire and Public Services team, we kind of talked about how frequently we're going to monitor. I thought I had changed it, but Callie and I had talked this morning, and we're going to monitor every 4 hours. We're going to kind of do a rotation between that team there. So they're going to be trained. Todd and I are going to take a walk this morning and kind of go through everything, highlight some of the big areas that we see are important to really keep an eye on. So then they'll have that information to kind of add to their overall inspection plan over the next several days. So we're going to get that going today and kind of have a nice checklist for what we need to be looking for specifically as we walk the levee system.
When does that start?
I'll defer to the rest of the team on that.
Our plan is to start it tomorrow.
Okay.
Public Services is going to do the day time, and then Fire Department's going to take the overnights and part of the weekends,
Okay.
or
Fantastic.
part of this weekend coming.
Okay.
We're hoping.
And is it not a zip through, but a go through, check all your stations, we're good?
It's going to be an hour to 2 hours per
Okay.
inspection.
Okay.
So we're going to have some key areas that we're going to have them inspect, along with we're going to put together a checklist with Bolton and Minkus help and Public Services and Brent, and we're all going to compile a checklist.
Fantastic.
And we're meeting with the fire department tonight at 7 p.m. To go through it, and then we'll probably be some one-on-one training for anybody that signs up for shifts.
Super. Thank you.
And then lastly, Callie's been working on the evacuation plan. I know that's not a term that people like to hear, but it's something that's important and necessary. So he's working on finalizing what that looks like, what the notification area would be. So he's putting that together. I know him and Public Services have started to talk through that. What are the logistics of that? So I don't know, Callie, if there's anything you want to add to that, but that's something that we need to have in place by the end of the day so we can make decisions as needed going forward.
Again, we'll be reviewing the plan tonight. Again, this is only precautionary. There's no risk that we feel at this time, but we will have a plan in place, so if something does happen, everybody will know what needs to happen to make the evacuation.
Is there a threshold from NOAA that you would execute that?
We don't believe, we believe the levee is going to be at a sustainable level, so it's only if we see a potential breach, such as dirty water or something like that coming through the levee, that we would institute an evacuation plan. So, and that would
just say what I heard you say, just because I think it's important. Evacuation plan is scary. That's terrifying to hear that, but it's part of our planning. It's so that we can be ready for worst case scenario, which we're not anticipating. We're certainly hoping we won't need to draw from those plans, but we'll have it in place.
Correct.
Okay, any questions on today's order of operations?
Can we, sorry,
No,
Rita.
you go ahead.
The number 2, the temporary levy. So it looks like the trail will be closed from Depot Park all the way through to Ash Street. Is that correct?
Yeah, so on the western end, I'll call it, we have a trail closed barricade just west of the bridge. So that'll be kind of the hard stop. No,
Okay.
Everybody west of the bridge won't be able to get across the bridge, the pedestrian bridge, I should say.
Okay.
And then there's a closure down at Broadway, where the trail stub comes out by the Broadway parking lot, and then up at Depot Park, this way.
Okay. Is the fill being brought in from the section of Broadway and Riverside Park?
The fill is gonna be brought in from Depot Park.
So the fill will be between Depot Park and Riverside Park?
Correct.
Okay. I am anticipating it's going to be, we think it's hard to keep people off the temporary levy. I think it's going to be really hard to keep people, gawkers, and folks who are just interested off of the levy between Riverside Park and Broadway. Is there
sure.
any way that we would keep that open, or is kind of the public safety and the threat that's so much so that we just really don't want
Yeah.
folks there?
I really don't think it's a good idea for
Okay.
anyone to be walking on the levee once it's so high like this, because
Okay.
if someone would fall and go into the river, it would be an extremely unfortunate
Yeah.
situation. So we really want to encourage everybody, just please stay off the levee.
Okay.
We're doing our inspections, and we feel it's the safest for everybody to just kind of stay away at this point.
Okay, so that is our messaging. Starting at 9 o'clock this morning, please
Yes.
stay off the levee, full stop.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I guess I was just gonna, so the basic summary is that the vast majority of the levy is above the current predicted, and there's just a few spots where we're going to augment with a temporary levy. And after that's done, the entire distance would be above our current projected crest, right?
That is correct, sir.
Excellent, okay. Good job, everybody.
Anything from your?
Nothing additional.
Oh, and then on the, do we have maybe bigger signs? I was walking down by getting some coffee this morning. We're on the trail closure, maybe, with like the A sign, the smaller. Do we have maybe a more substantial sign we could put down there to deter?
We could
One of
maybe,
those class 3 level?
Yeah.
Type 3 barricades?
Type 3.
Type
Oh,
3.
Type
Okay.
3.
we could see what we can do. We can
Okay.
either try to get some larger signs, or maybe we could supplement with some barrels or something like that.
Okay.
That public
Yeah.
services might have available to use, so.
Okay.
I would just add too, I mean, we recognize, like, our priority is to keep people off the temporary levy. We also recognize that folks, even if we have a barricade, some folks are gonna look
Sure.
up there. We're not gonna be calling the sheriff's
Oh, no,
office. We just feel like it's our obligation, just like a parent would tell their
Yeah.
child to be safe, like, small pets, small children. At this point, with the way that river's moving, would only take like a trip and fall for there to be a local tragedy. And so we're not going to be guarding it. We're not going to be shooing people off the top, but we think we're doing our due diligence.
Yeah.
You
So
may be shooing people off the top of the temporary levy.
off the temporary levy, yes, but if someone walked up on Broadway to the top, we're not going to be, patrolling that like hall monitors. But we don't advise people to do that. We're not encouraging people to do that. But I think it would be a fool's errand to try to monitor that, on a regular basis.
Anything
No,
else?
that's it. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay. So last slide we have put together is really what are the next few days going to look like? What I'm calling the high crest time frame, and hopefully it's a wait patiently scenario where we just have to all be patient and let the river crest and hopefully recede over the next several days. It looks like by the end of the weekend, conditions will be a little bit kind of similar to what they are now from a height perspective, as long as we don't have any crazy rainstorms or anything happen between now and then, but really it's going to be a monitoring the levee situation, every 4 hours, waiting patiently. And like I said, the evacuation plan is really only if we see something that really doesn't look good when we're doing those inspections. So we'll have that in place, and like I said, just we'll continue to wait and see how things go. So,
Is there any point in the system, the stormwater drain system, where water could overtake that or cause any problems, any low-lying areas?
so everything right now is operating with stormwater lift stations. So that would be one thing. If we had just a super heavy downpour, it could produce some localized flooding, like in low points in the streets and that kind of stuff. So Public Services has some additional pumps that they would have to deploy to those sites to assist in drawing down that water a little more quickly. But right now, all of our stormwater lift stations are operating, and yeah.
Anything?
No, that's,
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mayor and Council, do you want to, if there's any residents that want to come up to the microphone and ask questions?
Sure.
It'll be a great time to do that if we have any.
I want to make sure that you guys,
yeah.
minds are at ease, so if you have any questions. Jill? Not to call on you.
I have a question.
Okay,
Sure.
come on up, please, if you don't
My
mind.
voice isn't loud enough?
No,
that's
so
it.
we're
Recorded.
videotaping and broadcasting this live, and it's a struggle for the tens and tens of people who are watching at home right now. So, here you go.
So I'm just curious.
Can you tell me your name?
Oh, my name is Andrea Rademacher. I live on 720 Main Street.
Thank
so
you,
I'm just
Andrea.
a little bit out. My question is the high crest time. So we're talking Wednesday AM to Sunday. Is that extension from Sunday being like from the rain coming on Friday, or is that increased because of the dam that broke in Mankato?
So what we've heard from Carver County Emergency Management is the dam that broke in Mankato will have basically no impact on us this far downstream. They're saying like a fraction of an inch of an impact. I haven't seen the crest forecast go up or down based off of that.
Okay.
And it's also my understanding, and if somebody from the team can reel me in if I'm incorrect on this, but it's my understanding that the forecast, can somebody pull up the river gauge that we see that we're probably all checking quite regularly, right? That's based off of the rain that we have received, not what is forecasted. So that could change a little bit. It's also my understanding that it's not so much necessarily the rain we get here, unless it's exceptional, it's the rain upstream from us. So Mankato, New Ulm, the Minnesota River Valley.
Okay. Now, when we put the new sewer and water in, how much did they raise that road? I mean, being here for 30 years, I
That I'm
kind
gonna have to
of
phone a friend on.
kind of basing our experiences just from the past, been
Sure.
like, I don't, I'm just kind of wondering how high they raised that road.
I don't believe we have the records on that.
No, so the information we're reviewing for elevations, that's what it looks like it'll overtop today, likely like midday. So I don't know how much they raised or lowered the road, but we were using the construction plans when we did our review of that, so it should be fairly accurate.
Okay, because back in the time, they would go around us. The water would go around
sure.
us.
And you're right
Oh.
there.
And
I thought they said it was right around a foot they raised it.
Oh, did they?
So I was just curious, like, I'm just trying to think in my head what we are to expect.
Sure.
on our end, so, okay. That's all, I was just curious.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
no,
Thank
thanks
you.
for asking your questions. Appreciate it. Do you have any questions? Are you Tim?
No.
Okay. Okay. If you guys have any questions after this, if you walk out, give us a call at City Hall. Let us know. Happy to answer any of your questions. This is can't think of a term that isn't a flooding unintentional pun. This is a fast-moving situation. This is a fluid situation. Like, this changes a lot. We had a meeting on last Monday night, and things changed by Tuesday morning. So this is what we know right now. I'm pretty sure it's our plan, and I think we have a little bit more of a fuller picture of what this is going to look like, but things could absolutely change.
A couple more things. I just wanted to, I know some folks might not know him, but Todd Hubner with Bolt of the Mink, who's kind of leading our certified levy project, is out today to just kind of do a walkthrough and look at how this project might impact our plans and specifications for the certified levy project. Todd, anything you want to share, or things that you might be looking for today?
I think one of the questions that I think came up yesterday was the Rapid End Dam situation. I want to let you know that the DNR and the Army Corps of Engineers have been working on how far that, if that was to completely fail, meaning the dam washout, how far that impact would happen. And we're on the notification list, but based on our reviews yesterday, looking and chatting with them, it would be very minimal at Carver. It's on the Blue Earth River, it's not on the Minnesota River, so it has not as big of a watershed, not as big a volume of water behind it. Also, the area behind that dam is full of silt, so there's not a huge volume of water. There's a big volume of dirt, which moving that material would be an immediate impact to the folks downstream. But we wouldn't expect that there'd be a significant impact this far downstream from that dam break. So I think we can be at ease, and if that situation changes, we will be notified. I think the other thing is just be patient. And again, I can't reiterate, stay away from the water. We have, at the peak of this flood on Thursday, we're going to have 88,000 cubic feet per second of water traveling by the city of Carver. And that is a lot of water, and it's moving very quickly. There's a lot of things hidden in the water that you can't see. There's trees, there's debris that you can get caught on. So stay away from the water, stay back, stay safe. It is a force of nature, and I understand the draw to look at it, but do it from a safe distance. That's all I have.
Thanks, Todd.
And then one last thing, I just wanted to recognize Paul and Eric and their teams, and Callie and Tim and the fire department, along with everybody at City Hall. Like, you're seeing, or I feel like I'm a part of something that you don't usually see. It's like, or people don't usually see. I see it every day, but it's like the best of who we are. They're treating it more than a job. It's a obligation to help the community. And there's a lot of helping hands that are outside of this room that are doing that same thing. And so I just wanted to let you know that you're in good hands. And if there's anything that you need or folks from the community need, we are on our phones all the time, checking emails, send something to the website, email, call, what have you. We're here to get through this together.
Outstanding. Yeah. To reiterate that, there are a lot of folks who are working. Brenda, Lynn, Tim, Paul, Eric, Officer Trimbo. Appreciate all of your hard work, and I know nobody's sleeping these days, and I recognize that, and I appreciate everybody's hard work. Aaron, Todd, thank you all. I have a few more questions. So I'm anticipating downtown Carver to probably look pretty similar next week as far as the levees being in place. How long do we anticipate having the extra fill in place?
Right now, obviously the river forecast only goes out 1 week in the future, but based on the projection line, I would say that we should probably anticipate all that stuff being in place at least through the end of next week at a minimum. So
Okay.
it'll be up through the 4th of July and all that. So
Okay, great. And then we will keep an eye on the river forecast, and if heaven forbid there's another crest, will we?
yeah, we're
leave
not
it in
redoing
place?
everything. And
No.
yeah, for sure.
Okay. My next question is about money and how we're going to pay for this.
Yeah, so we'll use our, fund balances and, varying funds. Lynn has mentioned setting up a separate project code, so time, materials, other resources are going to be coded. We're keeping our fingers crossed that the state and FEMA will come through for reimbursement. So that right now we're just in the mode of tracking. We have the resources to upfront that from a cash perspective. Just hopping back to that levy, just for emphasis, and I was checking something maybe while you talked about it, but we are going back to the Main Street and 3rd Street temporary levies today. Can you go into that just in a little bit more detail?
Yeah, so we met yesterday, that's when we made the decision that we wanted to have a consistent 2-foot freeboard elevation above the 100-year flood, just for safety purposes. So that's why we have to go back to Maine. There were some areas that were a little bit low, so we want to just make sure it's nice and consistent the whole way. And then 3rd Street was just started yesterday, so we just have to kind of finish that one off here today as well.
And we anticipate having all that work done by the end of the day today.
Yep.
Okay.
Excellent.
We got Paul a big shovel.
Yeah.
Remember I said we all look tired and exhausted? I think Paul just demonstrated that. I was downtown last Thursday for a little bit of when they were constructing the Main Street Bridge, and it is like a well choreographed event with a bunch of trucks coming in, and stay away from it, but cool to see the level of synchronization that it takes, and I have no doubt that it's going to be a regular dump truck parade later today. So thank you for doing that, even though you won't let me in the skid steer. Okay, any other questions, Council?
So, post-flood event, do we need to have any kind of special engineering inspections of the bridges as a result of this?
Todd, you want to take that one? He's the flood expert.
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll watch as waters recede and before we open the roads. And if there's some significant damage, we'll take more inspection of it. I don't anticipate those 2 bridges, well, the one is about ready to come out anyway, so that will be replaced, so I'm not too concerned about that. The other one is modern construction, so I don't anticipate there being any major issues with that one.
Great, thank you.
No, that's it.
Only because it came up, and certainly the absolute lowest on my list of priorities, but the 3rd Street Bridge, we're going to start seeing some construction on it early July. I assume that that's pushed back. Do we have any concept of, is it pushed back a month? Is it pushed back?
Yeah, so the last schedule I had from Hensch's was that they wanted to start July 1st. That obviously is not anywhere in the realm of possibility.
Sure.
So I just kept them informed and just tell them, obviously this is something we can't control. So we're just going to have to let that water get down and really just see what things look like down there. And I'll report back when I know more, but it's going to be, I would say, probably several weeks before we're really getting going out there.
Because there's a threshold. They're not going to want to work if the water's
it's just
above X.
Yeah.
It's just it'll be too wet and it's just
Yeah.
going to make a mess. So
Okay.
they could maybe do some of the removals on top, like the street work portion of it.
Sure.
So that might be where they would start as things start to dry out. But
Okay.
we'll regroup with them and figure out a schedule here after we get through this. So
Okay. Super. Community members, last call for questions. Okay. Did this help? Put your minds at ease a little bit. So, I was talking to Jill before the meeting. This makes me nervous too. That said, I'm confident that we have a plan in place. I'm confident that the levee has served our community well since 1965. We're adding a little bit more to it to give it a little bit more oomph, give us a little bit more height and ability to protect the downtown area. And I think we'll be just fine. And we've got plans if that's not the case too. So let us know if you guys have any questions that pop up. Tell your neighbors, tell your friends. We're here to help and answer your questions. This is an uncertain time and it's certainly nerve-wracking. All right, next we need a motion. I will make a motion to adopt resolution 123-24, a resolution extending a period of mayor-declared emergency for the city of Carver, Minnesota.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Mayor Johnson and a second by Councilmember Pershman. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes. Anything else? All right, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Got a motion by Councilmember Welch.
I'll second.
And a second by Councilmember Pershman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.